Okay, so hi Beatrice. So welcome to China Admissions Channel. Welcome to this interview. I'm glad I have you here for today's quick interview session over your experiences in China. So how are you doing and how's Malaysia?
I'm good. Malaysia is not doing so well, but everyone's staying at home and just trying to live by. So I think so far it's okay. It's okay. Nothing to complain about.
Cool.
Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good as well. I guess Indonesia is far worse than Malaysia. New cases every day, and I don't know. Yeah, at least I'm alive and healthy, so it's great so far. Right. So you've been away from China for a while, right? Do you miss China?
Yes, I really do actually. China is just so different from Malaysia. I just can't compare it to Malaysia, and when I'm gonna list why I miss China, it's basically just because it's different from Malaysia. I think China there is relatively safer than everywhere else, so hopefully they start letting us in. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully soon. But it's interesting that a lot of students, right? And I would also say the same, that China is basically so different than our home country. But in your opinion, I know you cannot compare it with Malaysia, but what do you think is like the main difference of China and Malaysia, and why it makes you love China that much?
Well, I think first of all, the safety. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Because I think, yeah, like as a girl, it's a very big issue, and like you can China in Beijing, you can go out any time of the day, even at night. You can go anywhere you want, walk on the streets. The streets are just really pedestrian friendly, and it's so different from Malaysia. Like walking in Malaysia, you always have to like guard your bag. You always have to watch out, like if there's anyone around you, and especially at night, like you shouldn't walk at night. So yeah, that's the first thing. And I think other than that is how fast everything is in China, how fast and how convenient everything is. Like Didi, Taobao, Ele.me, Waimai, all of those things. It's just like Malaysia, we have that. We have Uber Eats, we have Grab Food and all that, but it's just the amount of choices you have in China and the price. That's what I really like about China.
I agree, totally agree with you. It's so safe, it's so convenient, it's so fast. Everything is, rapidly changing as well. It's very flexible and all that. Right, but before knowing all this, because you know all this after you experience several years living and studying in China, but before knowing all this, what makes you want to study in China in the first place?
Okay, that's a good question. And my answer would be actually quite different from everyone else because it wasn't really my decision to go to China. It was actually my dad who persuaded me to go to China. So yeah, we came across this advertisement in my brother's school, and it's basically a scholarship offer for students in that school to graduate and study in Beijing Foreign Studies University, which is the school that I'm studying in. Actually, at that time, this was back in 2016, my family wasn't doing very well financially. So, but like everyone, like all of my friends, my classmates, everyone was heading to places like the UK, the US, Australia to pursue studies. At the time for us, it was a little bit costly. So my dad still wanted me to go overseas. So this scholarship was like, it opened a door for me to go somewhere at a lower cost, but still being able to experience a different country. Yeah, also my dad he was noticing like how fast China was advancing at the time. And so he thought that China is a good place for me to go, which now after 4 years, I think he's right. Yeah, it was a good decision.
Anyway, right, so now you're in your final year of your bachelor's program in international business at BFSU. So how's your overall experience studying there?
Well, first of all, I didn't know what to expect in the course. I didn't do any research actually. But now after 4 years of studying in BFSU, I have to say that it's an experience that will stay with me for the rest of my life. In the sense that I got to know so many amazing people. The friends that I've made there are like definitely the most open-minded, the friendliest, the most adventurous people in the world. Because like me, they have left their own countries to explore China, which is a country until now. It still has like a very huge negative stigma surrounding it. Right. A lot of people who haven't been there yeah, they sort of have this prejudice against it, the idea that China is like that. Chinese people eat animals that we shouldn't eat. Chinese people are rude, all of that. Which, now after 4 years of living and studying there, I can say that it's not true. There are exceptions. There are people who are rude. It's the same as, every country. There are rude people in every single country. So we can't just define China like that. So these international students, they were really brave and really curious enough to step out from the mainstream path and go to China, which is, it's a foreign country to them. And what's surprising to me is that I've learned so much about other cultures actually, being at BFSU and being at Beijing actually. Not only the Chinese culture, but like cultures from friends that are from like Spain, Germany, Italy, Korea, Indonesia, Thailand, Russia, Uzbekistan, Mongolia, the list goes on. There are just so many people there. Really, it's so amazing. And I definitely did not expect this when I was planning to go to China. So yeah, these are wonderful memories, and I'm so glad to have experienced Beijing with the international friends.
Cool. Yeah, I think it's something that, like when I was studying there, I also didn't expect that I'll meet friends from all over the world. I barely know anything about China at that time. It was just me believing whatever the media said, right? If the media said, the people over there eat plastic, I would believe in that. But once I reached there, it's like it's totally a different world. It's nothing like whatever the media has spoken so far. And then as for the friends, agreed. I also feel like, learning in China, studying in China, living in China, we get to meet a lot of people from different part of the world, right? For you in BFSU alone, you get to meet people from Europe, from Asia, from like other countries. So it's indeed like a wonderful journey.
It is really.
Yeah, so I remember I met you the first time at BFSU campus, right? And then I also noticed that I think BFSU campus is very big. I've only visited like one part of it, the one where IBS is located. Can you share us more about the facilities of the BFSU campus? I heard that the library is so big as well.
Yeah. I think when you went, you actually went to the smaller campus, right?
But yeah.
Yeah, if you see the whole BFSU, it's not that big compared to like Beida or Tsinghua, but yeah, I think it's quite sufficient. Like for our students, we think it's quite cozy. It's okay. Our campus is divided to two. So you were at the West campus.
Yeah,
there's the East campus on the other side of the road. So there are dorms, canteens, classroom buildings on both campuses. We have a very good-looking library, like you said. It's actually really big, well designed. Yeah, on the outside you have like the word library written in all sorts of languages. So like in French, bibliothèque, and then in Chinese, 图书馆, like that. It's like it's yeah. So we have student cafes. We have convenience stores on our campus. Before COVID, our campus is very busy. It's always bustling with activities, like skating, running on the track, playing basketball, walking from dorm to class and class to dorm. We have a gymnasium on campus with a pool and badminton court. So facilities-wise, BFSU is pretty sufficient. Although some of the equipments is a bit old the last time I saw it. The dorms, they're all right. It's okay up till last year where, there was an overwhelming amount of students that entered BFSU. Yeah, so there wasn't enough space for everyone. And getting a room on campus was like really, really hard. Everyone was suffering. But yeah, now they're building a new building for a dorm, I think. So it should be a lot better in the future. And students have a lot of different opinions about the conditions of the dorms. But for me personally, it wasn't that bad, because I chose the more average price dorms. Like there's some that chose cheaper options, and maybe the toilets or kitchens and all that is not that clean. That can be improved. But the last semester before I left, they changed new furnitures for the dorm that I was staying in. So it was great, but unfortunately we can't enjoy that now.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think pretty much for dormitories across China, you get what you pay for, right? That's also quite the situation at UIBE and it's even more tough to get dormitories there because it's basically reserved for scholarship students. And if you're on a self-finance basis, you might need to find an accommodation outside of campus. But like there are lots of apartment buildings nearby UIBE at that time, so it's quite easy to get accommodation outside of campus. But yeah.
Did you stay on campus or did you stay outside by yourself?
Oh, I stay on campus because I'm having scholarship there. But I know that for like some of my friends who studied on a self-finance basis, they must stay outside of campus because basically UIBE don't have enough room for everyone. So the number of international students studying there keeps growing every year. But on the other hand, the number of the available dormitory rooms for international students are not increasing, right? I know they have like this new building. I think they built that like about a year ago in 2019. I think it's officially opened last year or in 2018. I forget. However, it's still not enough for everybody because they have a lot of international students, and that's why people have to find their own accommodations outside. At least you can still get your dormitory, which is good.
Yeah, crowding to China nowadays, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, people are, they are really eyeing to study in China. Either it's only like for Chinese language studies or like to get their degrees, but they're like all interested to come to China these days. Right, so you live in a dorm and you have a nice life at BFSU. So roughly said, could you share with us a little bit about like the living expenses in a month as an international student there?
Okay. I think that everyone has different ideas and different habits when it comes to spending. So for me, I'm a person who try to save as much as I can, even though it's not an easy thing to do when you're in China.
Yeah.
With time and everything. Like one day you have this amount of money and then the next day it's just gone because of like all the things you buy there. If I were to name an exact figure, well, I use an app that helps me to record my daily expenditure, and on the days when I'm not going out, just staying on campus, I can just spend like 30 yuan per day, which is less than $5. It's incredible.
It is.
Like because meals like food in the campus canteen is so much cheaper than eating out. Like you can have 3 different side dishes and rice for at least for less than 13 kwai. Or like a bowl of noodles for like 7 kwai, and you're guaranteed to be full by eating that. So, but like if you're not a fan of canteen food, other options are like ordering delivery. Delivery can be cheap or expensive as well. Like if you were to order fast food, that's really cheap, and there are usually a lot of promotions from stores on the app. But there are a lot of students who are not a big fan of Chinese food. The taste of Chinese food, they can't really take it, and they prefer to cook themselves. And so we have a lot of grocery stores on campus and around campus. It's really easy to find a grocery store, and the fruits and vegetables are really cheap. You can buy 1 week's worth of groceries for like, I think 40 kwai, 1 whole week. Yeah, it could be enough for that. So then like, other than that, transportation, you can save a lot if you choose to take public transport. It doesn't get more than like 20 kwai for one trip within the city. Like if you want to just go around, it won't get more than 20 kwai. Like one-time bus fee is like 1 to 2 kwai. Super cheap. Taxi, on the other hand, otherwise known as TT, is a bit more expensive. For example, from my campus BFSU to the city center, like Sanlitun, for example, is about 40 kwai per trip, if I'm not wrong. And if there's traffic jam, it would go up to like 90 maybe. So yeah, that's a bit more expensive. But then you can opt to share cabs with other people on the app if you're taking it by yourself and you want to save money. But then it's gonna take longer if you choose that option. Yeah, the taxi driver has to drop the person off, pick another person up while you're on the way to your destination. So yeah, these are the basic necessities. Other than that, like spending on things like clothes, entertainment, and all, you can choose to shop either in malls or online. Online is always the cheapest option.
That's right.
Yeah, for sure. Like there are a lot of people who have like quality concerns though, like buying things online, probably don't really trust. So you can maybe buy the things that are not so important online, which are like for example, sponge or some furniture like socks, these kind of things, it can really save you a lot of money. Like you don't have to go to a mall to get those things. So I think overall, if I add everything up, like basic necessities, food, transportation, a bit of shopping, and maybe like a friend's birthday party here and there,
Mm-hmm.
I say I spend less than 3,000 yuan per month,
Mm-hmm.
which is about, I think, 500 US dollars or so.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's the average spending, because I remember when I was studying there, I also spent about the same amount of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, you need to move to UIBE. We're closer to Sanlitun. Yeah, it took us probably like 20 RMB by TD from UIBE to Sanlitun, and we can take like a bus for like 20 minutes. We can reach Sanlitun if there's no traffic jam. See?
Oh my gosh, just 20 minutes?
Yeah, it's just 20 minutes away. It's just 3 stations away from the subway station closest to UIB.
You guys were so lucky. For us, it's like
Yeah.
20 minutes away. But yeah, we're fine. We still go there.
Yeah, but it's troublesome like the other way around. For example, if we want to go for Korean food, because we are always going to Utaoko for Korean food. I don't know why, it's just so famous for its Korean food, right? And that's why, and it took us like about almost an hour just to reach Utaoko if we choose to go by subway. It's like so far away, but it's worth it. Yeah, it's worth all the time. Yeah, worth it. All the good Korean foods are there with like the, I think they're all authentic Korean food as well. It's amazing.
I think so. A lot of them are like from Korea themselves, like they travel to China.
I think so.
Actually, even I heard from a Korean friend that there's one, I don't think it's in Wudao, but there is a store that like a Korean friend said that that's the best Korean food she's ever tried. Yeah, that's the best Korean food she's ever tried as a Korean.
Oh, really?
She tried in China and she said that's the best she's tried. Yeah, it's incredible.
They have so many Korean restaurants there. And yeah, out of curiosity, you mentioned about eating at the canteen, right? I noticed that the canteen at UIBE, for example, they open from morning to evening. So students can choose to go there anytime they want, right? Because like unlike in Indonesia, for example, canteens are only open during study hours. So it's going to be like from 8 a.m., let's say, to 4 p.m. But in China, when I study at UIBE, it opens like from early in the morning. I think it's from 7 a.m. up until 7 or 8 p.m. at night. And then UIBE also have like halal canteen, for example. Is this also the case at BFSU?
Yes, that is also the case. It opens like the whole day, but then there are breaks. Like they take breaks in between that students are not going to go eat. But yeah, it's just so accessible all the time. And the food is just like non-stop, taking out from the kitchen, like fresh. Yeah, we also have halal canteens as well. We also have halal canteens, and food is surprisingly good. Like, I always had this idea that, even though I'm from Malaysia, but like the idea of food being elsewhere, like as halal, it's like, I'm a bit like doubtful about the taste, but it's actually quite good. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and the one at UIB also have like quite like a wide range of selections for halal food, which I didn't expect at all.
Right. Yeah, like kebab and everything.
Yeah, and they have sushi and everything.
Ooh, sushi halal, yeah?
Yeah, halal sushi.
Cool.
So maybe we should suggest that to the canteen lady at BFSU later when you come back.
That's a good idea.
Right. So what's your typical average day when you are in Beijing?
My average day varies. Like it's different. Sometimes there's a lot to do in terms of school. Sometimes there's a lot to do in terms of social activities. Nightlife is always very interesting in Beijing. Friends are always keen to go out, and it's really fun to experience the night in the city center. But in the days when I'm free, I like to explore the city. My hobby is taking photos, and I've done quite a bit of photography for friends in Beijing. So quite often I'll just be hanging out, taking pictures and discovering places in Beijing. It's really endless, the amount of places you can discover in Beijing, because, we always start at one location and end up somewhere totally unexpected. It's really fun. But On the other hand, on the flip side, during exam season, like my schedule is way different. Like it won't be that fun. It's probably just wake up, go to library, go to canteen, go to library, and go back and sleep. But yeah, every day is different, so that's not really a routine for me.
Oh yeah, I look forward to, getting my photograph taken by you one day. Probably we can work on something.
Yeah, we can. We can probably do like the online stuff. There's a trend now,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right. They photograph us through Zoom, right? That's the thing.
Yeah. I haven't tried that. I don't think it works, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, it was a thing in Indonesia a few months back. I know a lot of my friends are doing that.
Right. Model friends or just friends?
Just friends, yeah. It's like everybody's doing that.
Okay. Maybe it's your turn.
Maybe. Right. So now that you're away from Beijing for how long? 10 months, right? More or less 10 months. And now you're doing online classes as well for your final class at BFSU. So how do you like it so far?
I wouldn't say it's the best, but I get by because right now I'm in my last semester and I only have one class left. So it's quite okay for me. But if I were to be in previous years, I would definitely say that I prefer real life lessons. But then again, there are advantages for online classes too, I feel. Like there are students that are more outspoken in class and there are some who are more reserved. So like online classes sort of gives an opportunity to everybody to voice their opinions or ask questions because, on Zoom or wherever there's this chat room feature where everyone can say something and it will be read by the teacher. Yeah, without having to clash with other people speaking. So I think this encourages participation and also I think doing online classes for those people who like to multitask, it would be an advantage for them to it's not to say that you should be distracted while having class, but like for example, if you need to go to the toilet, you can just bring your device in with you and you won't anything use this. So yeah, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. That's a good idea to do multitask in toilet. I've never heard of it, but it makes sense though.
I haven't done it, but just
yeah, it's a new idea for students out there who are watching this interview session. Maybe they can do that if they're, sometimes, like this material given are very, very important. You don't want to miss it, right? But it's also not a good thing as well to hold your pee. That's not good for health. Yeah, so this is like a win-win solution. Makes sense. All right. So, well, anyway, what do you miss the most about Beijing, and what's the first thing you want to do if you are going back to Beijing?
Well, I miss the freedom to move around. Like I said, like it's so safe there. The streets are designed to be pedestrian friendly. You can go anywhere and everywhere at any time. And yeah, as a girl, I really like that. I miss how you can find food at any hour and it can be delivered to you within 30 minutes. Like if it's like 4 a.m. in the morning and you're just hungry and you're awake for some reason, just go on an app, click a couple of buttons and your food would be there at the door of your dorm in less than 30 minutes. So yeah, I miss how quick everything is. I think I also really miss being a foreigner in a different country, in another country, and learning new things every day about other people's cultures, about ways of life. Yeah. I also miss hanging out with friends. I think that's a really big thing, even though that doesn't really have to do with Beijing, but I made a lot of great friends in Beijing, so I miss hanging out with them and doing interesting things together. I think there's just so much that I miss. The first thing that I would do when I go back to Beijing, I think I'm gonna have Hai Di Lao hot pot. I miss that.
They don't have it in Malaysia?
They do, but it's different. They do localization, so they're in Malaysia, and I miss the authentic Beijing one.
I see. So, right, final question. What do you plan to do after graduation?
Honestly, at this point, I can't say anything for sure because the virus is sort of giving us a very long suspense. I was considering studying film. I would really like to do in the future, but I'm not really sure where I'll be studying that in. I think it's really crazy how things can change so quickly. Because right now, this interview, we're talking about memories that kind of,
Yeah,
it sort of feels like it belongs to another life, like
that's
another
right.
reality.
I get
Yeah,
you.
so
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna change, like in 1 month, 2 months. Maybe this really will be, I don't know. Maybe this really will be the end of like traveling, but I hope not.
I hope not as well. I mean, it's not fun, right? Just staying in our country and not being able to explore the world. Yeah, it's not fun to even, stay at house. Because I think even like to travel domestically within Malaysia or like within Indonesia, it's still a bit scary.
Yeah, it is. Right
Yeah.
now, there's a interstate travels. You
Oh,
can't do
really?
that as well.
Oh, you can't do that in Malaysia?
Yeah, because previously we always had like I think 200-300 cases per day, but the last has been like 800. So it's a very big
Oh.
increase.
Indonesia is still winning. We have 3,000 perhaps or more a day. Congratulations.
Right, but Indonesia is also bigger, right? It's still
Yeah, we're bigger. Yeah, but mainly because of that as well, like access for healthcare and everything is not, like it's not fair somehow to say. Like if you're like if you're in a urban area, for example, you have a better access for healthcare, but if you're not, then it's hard to tell. That's probably the end of this interview session. Do you have anything else you'd like to add, perhaps?
Okay, so I think for anyone who's considering to study abroad or in China, I think the one important tip is to put yourself out there. It might take a lot of effort for some people, it might be challenging for some people, or even scary, like to meet new people, to spend time with them, and all that. But sometimes you have the opportunity to be in another country. It's not only the opportunity that matters, but like what you do with it. So I think the key to an amazing adventure wherever you are is to be curious, is to be adventurous, and have this attitude of being open to try new things and don't take yourself too seriously. Because in the end, we're all gonna die. No, okay. Cut that out. Okay,
But it's true.
yeah, it's true. Anyway. Like in the end, don't forget to share as well. Like it's really important to keep in mind that we have to both give and take.
True. Well said, Beatrice. Thanks a lot for, spending your time to do this quick chat with me. I hope your experience can inspire other students out there, and I'm hoping that we can see each other again very soon in Beijing.
Yes, me too. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Nadia.
Thank you too.